All right, some people hate me for no reason, and I'm not worried about those bozos, but sometimes without even realizing it, we can give people reasons not to like us. And, you've seen a soda tier list, you've seen a fast food tier list, I'm sure, but I have a feeling you have yet to see a hateable behaviors tier list. So today I'm ranking things that I didn't realize were making my life harder than it needed to be. It was putting me at a disadvantage, right? So starting off, number one, something I wish my ass knew years ago, which is that it's important to smile when you don't feel like smiling. And I'm going to put this one in C tier. If you're like me, when there isn't shit to smile about, it doesn't come easy. It's not natural. So sometimes, without even realizing it, it's not that I just wasn't smiling, but I'm like mean mugging people. And I don't know if it's because I grew up in New York, where if you go around smiling at everyone, it's only a matter of time before you get robbed. But growing up, I would have teachers, coaches be like, yo, are you good? I'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm chilling. It just never came naturally to me. So, when I'm happy or laughing about something, I'm cheesing. But every other time I'd have like this mean mug. And my thought process was like, it's inauthentic to fake a smile. And it is, but it's like too bad. You know what I mean? If you're having a bad day and you're showing that on your face, you're just going to have an even worse day because people are going to treat you like a grumpy dude. You know what I mean? And you might be like, wow, no shit, genius. But I don't know, man. I never knew this. Like, I didn't automatically know this, They tell you as a kid to be yourself. So next time you have an interaction with anyone, start it with a smile and you'll notice the difference. Like, you could be saying the craziest shit, but if you're smiling while you say it, it will come off so much better. And on the flip side, you might think you're being nice and mad respectful to everyone when you start a conversation, but you have the face of someone who just stepped in dog shit. It's going to show in their reaction. And this applies to girls too. I really had to teach myself, like if I'm trying to reciprocate eye contact with a girl in public, I need to remember to smile. You psycho. I don't know, man. It doesn't come naturally to me. So it's something you can easily start doing, and it works right away in all these assets of life too. And I'm not saying, walk around with a creepy ass smile all the time like that movie, but just get rid of that mean mug. It's not opening any doors for you. I promise you that. Life is tough, and you're just making it tougher by looking so pissed off all the time. And I learned this from a book, by the way, Great Gatsby, which if you haven't read or seen the movie, bro was like the original Rizzler. This guy was looks maxing in the early 1900s, which is just, goated. But I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something that, like, once he found out that people liked him more when he smiled, he never stopped smiling. All right, this next one's a two-parter. So you are what you consume / you can't have good conversations because of it. So I'm going B tier with this one. If you have this habit that most of us do at this point, which is constantly consuming garbage on your phone in whatever form, whether that's brain rot or politics or black pill, red pill, whatever the latest pill is, you may not realize that that garbage is transferring to your real life interactions. So, whether that's you're just regurgitating slop or, you keep telling everyone how screwed we are, how the world is about to end. Even if this is the end, no one wants to hear that. Seriously, now more than ever, it feels like more and more people are becoming projections of their feeds. Sometimes you talk to someone and just be like, damn, I know this kid's feed sucks. And it sounds mean, but I just feel like at this point, a lot of us are sick of the internet. The way that the world works right now, it almost feels like we're being forced to use it, which is more of a reason that when, we link up in real life, it feels so good to not be talking about some internet garbage. The internet, which, a few years ago was the escape, is now something that we all want to escape from. It's like, yo, did you see what happened to World of T-shirts? Did you see, there's a new dictator in Madagascar. He's doing something nuts, dude. Did you see it? It's like, just get it away from me, man. Get it all away from me. I probably did see it, man. I'm trying to escape it. It's like finally escaping the internet for a few hours and then someone's trying to drag you back into it. It's like, I used to do this without realizing it all the time. But as I've gotten older, something I've started to appreciate is good conversation, right? And something so important to having good conversations is being aware that you are a big reflection of what you fill your head with. So the quickest solution here is to just pick up a book. You know what I mean? Like, not just the ones that you see on your feed on the internet. Again, it's like you'll see 48 Laws of Power, and that's a good book, but like, what about the classics, dude? If you're like me, you probably never for a second considered reading the classics. If you think about it though, it's like these stories have survived generations. I'm like, damn, maybe there's a reason for that, you know? I put a lot of work into these videos and the stories that I share here, and I'll be happy if these last a year. And here we got stories that have lasted generations. So like a little more than a year ago, I was like, if I am what I consume, what happens if I consume the classics? And it's not like a magic switch goes off, but over time you start to notice like the quality of conversations that you're having goes up. And that's with anyone. I feel like before I started reading a lot of books and fiction especially, I couldn't hold conversations with a lot of people. It's like, oh, you don't watch sports, so we can't talk about that. And it's like, oh, you're 50, so there's literally nothing that we can talk about. And I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how this works, but I think when you read a bunch of books, and especially fiction, you start to gain perspective. And all of a sudden you can have conversations with all kinds of people about all kinds of shit. And it's not just about the books themselves. So honestly, just start reading. Like, this has become my answer to every problem that comes up these days. It's like, oh, the world's going to end. Just keep reading, bro. It's like, oh, we just passed the point of no return with AI. It's like, all right, I'm just going to keep reading, bro. I feel like if I just continue to read, life is bound to get better before it gets worse. I don't know. It's like perspective, focus, critical think maxing. All of this comes from reading, and it's all good. And none of it's bad. Like 80% of fiction sales across North America are women, which is not surprising, honestly. Like, as a dude, like I said, I had never touched fiction. I thought reading was a waste of time, and I thought, fiction was sus, to be honest with you. It's like I barely have enough time for my own story over here. Why am I about to read yours? But that's why, that mindset is why books like 48 Laws of Power do so well. It's like, oh, this book isn't a waste of time because it'll teach you how to become more powerful. It's like, the truth is, no book is a waste of time. Every book you read expands your palate. But there's something about fiction specifically that develops you socially. You understand people better. And again, I don't know exactly why this is, but if I had to bet, I'd say it's the perspective you gain. And once me and the bros become interesting and get perspective, it's clipped for everyone else, all intellectual and shit. But seriously, start reading books. All right, next. In your head too much. And I'm putting this S tier. If you've been following this channel, you know this is something I feel strongly about, because the amount of situations throughout the years where I have let my inner voice just totally fry my shit is actually impressive. Like, at one point I thought I had social anxiety, and then I thought I had depression, but really I just could not get out of my head, dude. I'm talking about botching, times with girls where I was so in my head I missed all kinds of signals and shit. Times at job interviews where I would botch them because I was already tweaking about like the day-to-day of the job and how I don't even really want this job. And it's like I wouldn't even get the job because I would botch the interview. It's like first impressions, it goes on and on and on. And it's funny, I didn't realize until not that long ago that some people just don't have an inner monologue, which is so nuts to me. And please comment below if that's you, because that's awesome and I wish I was you. But for me, it's like ever since I was a kid, it's like I'm constantly wrestling this voice inside my head, and that probably makes me sound like a nut job, but it's not psychosis that I'm describing. It's just not having control. And I realized like not having control over this little douchebag in my head was making me less enjoyable to be around. And this is why I'm always telling people be careful with the weed, because after enough time it will make that voice louder. And it's the same reason you got to be careful with the booze, because it might turn that voice down for a little, but now you're a drunk. I don't know about you guys, but I would rather keep the inner monologue than be a drunk slob. There's a saying from somewhere, I don't remember, some smart dude, that I don't recall. But he was like, the only reason drugs and war exist is because men can't sit alone with their thoughts. And you might ask, why would this make someone hate me? And it's like, heads are really hating because of my anxiety now. But think about it through your own perspective. It's like if you're talking to someone and their mind is clearly somewhere else, you can't realize from the outside that, this person is tweaking out about something. You're just like, man, this guy sucks. He's not even listening to what I'm saying. He's not even present. And, the problem here is that it isn't an easy fix. This is a fix that you have to actively work on. And I'm not going to ramble on it too much just because I know I've done a ton of it. But, I'll just say for now, read The Power of Now, the book, first 20 pages, and look into the Wim Hof method. Game changer. All right. Next, You are a bad listener. I'm going to put this one C tier. And I know the guy who talks to himself on the internet for 20 minutes straight is telling you as the listener you need to listen more. But as humans, we love being listened to, and it's why people pay for therapy if you really think about it, just to unload the clip on some poor bastard, right, who at least gets paid for it. There's nothing worse than that dude who just loves the own sound of his voice. Like, I knew this kid in college that would just go on and on and on and on, and you're looking at this kid just like, is he almost done? And right when you think he's about to stop, he just goes on and on and on and on. It's like, I've never been much of a yapper, which might be a surprise to you guys, seeing that I've been yapping my ass off for the past few months on this channel. But I don't know, I never liked the sound of my own voice. I struggle to even watch these videos back. But that doesn't necessarily make me a good listener. So this is another transferable skill. Like at work, with your family, girls, just listen. It's so easy. Like, we spend all this time listening to shit on the internet, but then in real life, it's like there's this tendency to want to speak, you know? It's why, and this is actually kind of interesting, on podcasts, they all wear those headphones. I was like, why are these bozos wearing headphones in the same room? It's because they can hear their own audio levels and everyone else's so that they don't talk over each other. And it's also one of the reasons, you know, it's annoying to go to a bar and be sober. People are always like, oh, why can't you just go out, you know, and not drink? You mix a little booze into any conversation and all of a sudden everybody's Joe Rogan. That's actually a bad example because he has to listen as part of his job. But everyone's just trying to speak, right? Next time you're at a bar, just sit back and watch a conversation. You'll notice, like, someone tells a story, then someone else jumps in with how they have their own story, and then someone else comes back with their own story. It's like, if you've never thought about this, you might be the guy who does this all the time, because, you know, it's natural. Like, we all just want to be heard at the end of the day, and if you can be that guy who just listens, everyone ends up liking you way more. Just a fact. And it's tough, dude. I mean, it's one thing to listen to your own friends, but if you're in like a work environment, for example, something I really struggled with at my corporate job, it was like pretending to care. I made it very obvious that I did not care about what anyone did that weekend. You know, if you can just listen and just like ask literally one question, people will eat that shit up, because, you know, it did me no favors. Again, it's kind of like the smile thing where it's like, oh, I'm just being authentic, but it's like, no, you're kind of just being a moron because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, right? And, you know, this is kind of unrelated, but something else I can't stand is when someone just, you know, needs to get the last word in every single conversation. You can say the most simple, just truest statement, like, yo, I need to go to the bathroom. They'll be like, well, actually, you just need to take better care of your gut health. I don't know, it's a bad example, but it's like, whether it's with sports or investing or anything, it's like they need to have the contrarian take. Drives me nuts, dude. Maybe that's just me. But moving on to the next behavior, people hate you because you're a hater. And this has to go S tier, because people can tell when you're a hater. And I don't think being a hater is like a character, like an archetype. You aren't just born a hater. As humans, we all have the ability to hate. It's like, if you have the ability to be insecure, then you have the ability to hate, unless you're like a psychopath or something, right? But if you're telling me there's never been a time where someone did something that wasn't even directly at you, or something like totally innocent, and you weren't like, damn, I hate this kid. Like, no one wants to admit it, but we all do it. For example, I do not like Anthony Volpe, bro. I said it. The kid sucks at baseball, shouldn't be the Yankees shortstop. But that's not the only reason I don't like this kid. In this particular case, the real reason is because this dude is the shortstop for the Yankees. Growing up, my room was covered in Derek Jeter jerseys, posters, bats. I played baseball with kids who played baseball with this kid. He grew up in the tri-state area, so I couldn't, you know, usually this excuse like, oh, he grew up in like the South or something, because it's obviously it's harder to be good at baseball when you're from the city. So, you know, I recognize the real reason I hate this kid is because he's living my childhood dream. And that sounds so depressing, but it's true. It's like, it's okay to be jealous and joke around. And I mean, this kid sucks. He's not doing himself any favor. I'd probably hate him less if he didn't strike out every time he came up to the plate. But letting hate go unchecked and just not identifying it is where you start showing it, right? You start becoming visibly unlikable without even realizing it. Like, especially when life is really kicking your ass, it's so easy to just hate everything, complain. I hate this, I hate you. This food sucks. This neighborhood is such a dump. You know, I hate my sister. She's pissing me off. you become a hater. There's no other better word to describe it. Your brain just becomes conditioned to hate. And why would you want to be around someone like that, you know? Someone who makes you feel like everything sucks. You would probably not invite that dude to the function. So how do we fix this? Again, I don't want to pretend like I have all the answers, but for me, gratitude is a big one, right? Like, you can't force gratitude. Some days I'm not feeling very grateful. Some days I'm extremely grateful. But I think, I don't know, I'm a believer that if you remind yourself that people would kill for what you have, like there's always someone who has it worse, it shows like in your day-to-day interactions. You know what I mean? So stop moving around looking for things to hate on. Because, dude, I used to be such a hater. Like, I used to hate on everything. And people pick up on that. And guess what? They hate it. It's a cycle. So you got to get out of that cycle. If you think about it, though, like all the things on this list shouldn't be enough to make somebody hate you, but they are. There's all these things that we can account for that I mentioned, but you can't account for people just being jealous, insecure, and being trolls. So, you know, trying to be liked by everyone is this huge waste of time. But at the same time, you want to give yourself every advantage you can. You know what I mean? So you want to enter a room on the highest playing field of being liked, if that makes sense. So always be improving, man. Let me know what you guys think about this video, this tier list. I switched up the flow a little bit again. I want to just keep trying new shit. I don't want to get stuck into one format. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.